Happy Friday, real life traders. Today is September 15th, 2023. Um, Interesting Friday. A lot of stuff is down, but that's okay. We're overall we're looking uh, pretty good right now with the markets. Question for the group. I'm just curious. Let me pull up here my participants list. I just want to be able to see who all is here. Um, any questions about anything you want me to address before I jump into the analyzing price action and volume session? Just wondering if anybody has anything pressing, anything that they want clarification on, help with, anything that's going on that they you know might have a question about. Just throw that in the chat real quick if you do. Otherwise, we will get to moving forward on the analyzing price action and volume. All right, so nobody's throwing anything in the chat. So I guess everybody's doing okay today. Let's see. Is just running through the list of names. Natasha, are you here, Natasha? I don't know if Natasha's on the list, but I was just wondering if she was actually listening in. I owe her. She and I are supposed to have a session. We're supposed to do it this week, and I didn't get around to it. So anyway, if she was here, I was going to get that set up. But before we kick this off, I want to congratulate one of my coaching students, Sayama. You might have seen her post in Slack. She hit her number. She funded her account. She has I believe it's $100,000 account that she got funded, and very excited for her. That it was interesting. She was giving me updates, and so basically, she got it funded in like 2 weeks. She did really well with that. And again, somebody who Saima had been in one of my group mentoring sessions. And then after that, she decided to do a couple of individual coaching sessions. And yeah, it's awesome. So some of I will tell you a lot of what helped her to hit her goal there has to do with exactly what we've been talking about in these sessions on price action and volume, and just being able to analyze the price action, the volume, the candle sentiment, all that. So anyway, congrats to Simon. I'm really happy and proud of her. She worked really hard and she's got it now. So that's fantastic. All right, let's jump into I have a chart of shop here. So want to get into the analyzing the price action and the volume, and also just to reiterate, I know I mention this every time that we do in these sessions, but the key things I'm looking for, just again, I know a lot of you already know it, but anybody who's new, key things I'm looking for are double tops, double bottoms, a hammer at the bottom of a move, a shooting star at the top of a move, but all of these things in conjunction with volume spikes. The volume spikes are a key component here to being able to identify these setups. So want to go through a couple of these here. So we're going to start off with shop, and just want to zoom in here, right? So let's just look down. We're just going to walk through this chart because you might go, okay, well, there's a hammer, right? So, but again, not all hammers are created equal, right? So as you look down here, you see, okay, well, sell off, okay, market's going down, and then boom, you get this hammer. And it looks like the low of this was 62.19, the low of this candle, 62.20. So people, pretty much almost identical numbers here, right? So traders might be looking at that and going, well, that's clearly a support level, right? Strong support, and there's a hammer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bracket this hammer, and they set up a, entry here, stop down here somewhere, and very first candle, boom, they're triggered in, right? So that is an example of what is potentially a bull trap, right? Price breaks up above the high of this candle, wicks up, triggers in all these orders, and comes right back down, right? So a lot of times you just see this happen and it will just roll. In this case, it did actually go up, right? It went up a little bit, right? But it still didn't, this wasn't the time to take this long. This wasn't reversal time. So let's go into, let me remove these lines. Actually, maybe I'll keep that one on just so we have it on there. Okay. So I was just saying, let's say, if you bracketed that hammer candle, right? So let's go into that hammer candle took place at 9:45, right? So 9:45. And if I go into, just make sure you should be looking at, I know sometimes this doesn't go over accurately, but just somebody let me know if you should be seeing a chart right now with 3 different charts, a 5-minute chart, 15-minute, and a 30. Just give me a quick confirmation in the chat. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes when, I don't know why. Hey, Martina. Yep. Thanks. Okay. I see that. Yeah, sometimes I don't know why it doesn't if I switch back and forth the charts like that, sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. But anyway, here's the 5-minute chart. This is the one that we were just looking at. 5-minute chart here at 9:45, right? Well, let's take a look at what we were seeing on a higher time frame chart at 9:45. So first of all, right? Yeah, there's a hammer, but look, there's no volume spike, right? So as I mentioned, one of the key components to this is the volume spike. Why a volume spike? Well, the volume spike in this case would represent exhaustion selling. Okay, so when you look at the sell-off here, right, these first 3 candles, it's a 5-minute chart, first 3 candles, the idea of seeing a volume spike would indicate potential exhaustion selling or capitulation. So, but key thing here is there is no volume spike, right? So right away, I'm going to be very reluctant to look to take this trade, right? Because there is no volume spike, even though there's a hammer. And so 9:45, if we look in at 9:45, all right. So 9:45, we see here's on the 15-minute chart, very bearish, right? Then you get this, the next camp 9 from 9:45 until 10, right? So at 9:45, when I would have looked at this, I would not have seen on the 15-minute chart anything that would have indicated to me this is potentially making a bullish move, right? So right away at 9:45, when I see this hammer on the 5-minute, I'm looking at the 15-minute, and I'm, the 30-minute is not going to give us enough data yet, right? Because the market is just only open for a short while. So right away, though, on the 15-minute chart, if I see that kind of a bearish candle to start off, I would here have to see some really nice looking hammer candle down here to make me think, okay, this could be a potential bounce area, but it's not, right? It's a doji, it's a spinning top, it's an indecision candle here. And then if you follow through what happened here, right? Price bounce out here, triggered in all these orders, people looking to go long because everyone's taught, well, look for a hammer at the bottom of the move. What they're not told is look for it in conjunction with a volume spike. Well, no volume spike, and what happens? It goes up, triggers in all these orders, and then it rolls right back down, right? So this move here is represented by this candle here, right? And that is not a bullish looking candle. That is not anything that would make me think that after this first 15 minutes of selling, that this is ready to bounce, right? So shooting star here. So it's still looking bearish to me. So the point is that using the multi-time frame analysis, not just relying on the 5-minute chart here, but going over to the 15 and looking at the 15, what I want to see is if I'm thinking that this is potentially going to bounce here because of this hammer, but again, I'm already discounting it because it doesn't have the volume spike down here. But if I'm thinking about going bullish, I need to see it setting up on the 5-minute and the 15-minute, especially this early in the morning. Again, the 30-minute is not going to give us much at this point, right? So then we get this shooting star, and of course it rolls over. Everybody stops who were down here, got triggered, and it turns into a losing trade, right? So use the multi-time frame analysis to help pinpoint the right time, right? And again, we talk about this all the time, is that you might be right, 100% correct on your thesis that this could bounce and go bullish, but you can be totally wrong on the timing. And that happens quite frequently, right? You're correct. How many times have you taken a trade and let's say you're looking to go bullish, taking a bullish trade, only to get it stopped out, and then 15 minutes later it does exactly what you were expecting it to do, right? Doesn't mean that you were wrong, that your analysis was wrong. It just means your timing was wrong. So the higher time frames here are going to help you to pinpoint that timing. Okay, so let's go back into here. Let's go back into this chart here. Again, if for any reason you're not seeing my 5-minute in the daily chart, just let me know. I think this is working okay now. I think I'm not getting, again, previously, sometimes I've had this glitch where you don't see this as I switch back and forth through the charts like that. It doesn't come up right. But then, okay, so then let's look down here. Okay, no volume spike, rolls over. We just looked at that. Then we get this candle. Okay, so here's a candle that, yes, there is a volume spike, right? And again, it's hammer-ish. It's not a perfect hammer, right? If like this kind of candle right here, that's a nice looking hammer, right? But you get a hammer-ish candle down here. And again, I don't care if it's bullish or bearish. It doesn't matter. I'm just looking for some indication that the downward move is over and it's looking now to go bullish. So what do we see, right? Well, look at this. And again, if you come down here, right, there's a volume, you did get a volume spike here, right? Again, but it's not a hammer candle, right? Okay. It's kind of, but it's got really almost has an equal upper and lower wick here, right? So more of a spinning top candle. So not exactly what I'm looking for, but there was volume, right? So again, you could go into the higher time frame and look and see if that tells you anything. So at 10:30, right? 10:30, if I go to the higher time frame here at 10:30, right here, right? Is that looking bullish to you? No, it's still looking bearish, right? So again, there was an there was a sign, indication, of volume spike, which would have caught my eye. But when I go over here and I look at the 15-minute chart, it's still looking bearish to me, especially after you got all this selling, an attempt to go long, and then this candle came in, another decent bearish candle, followed by this one, which at one point would have been bullish, but the bears sold it off, right? So it's still not looking bullish to me. It's still looking quite bearish. So let's go back. Just going to walk through the chart. So now that was this candle. Now it rolls over, but now look, we get another volume spike, right? So here's the volume spike at 10:50, and it's hammer-ish. And again, doesn't matter to me whether it's a bullish candle or bearish candle, makes no difference to me. Now, let's just consider something else here, right? The low of this candle, 62.04, more or less. Let's see, 62.05 was the actual number, right? Well, you should also be watching this, and you should already have your levels specced out on the chart itself, on the daily chart, right? Well, when this hit the low of the day here, right, with a volume spike, what was happening on the daily chart here? Well, it came right down to this. Here's the 20 EMA on the daily, and it hit that. So what is the moving average going to do? Well, it's going to provide support, right? It could fail, but you should be looking at that and thinking, okay, well, look at this day, right? On this day, it came down to the 20, and look what happened. It bounced, right? Well, could it do it again? Of course it could. So if at 1050, if you're seeing this make a low a day and there's volume, and you know that you have the 20 EMA right here, those are signs to say, okay, maybe it's going to bounce now. Because think about this. At one point on this day here, this would have been a big bearish candle when this was selling off. And then what happened? It bounced and it went up. Well, could it happen again? Of course it could. Right. So you're just looking for all these signs to give you an idea that, yes, this is a potential time to go long. Okay. So again, this was 1050. So let's go into the higher time frame. At 1050, what do we have? Right. Well, 1050 was, this was the start of the 11 o'clock. This was 1050. So at 1050, this was still not looking very bullish, right? It's still looking bearish to me, right? There's no volume spike here. So this candle started at 1045. It would have ended at 11, still not looking bullish to me. So I would have held off on doing anything at that point. But if I keep watching this, so what I'm looking for, let me go back to, well, and also let's just look in here at 1050. Let's see now what the 30-minute chart was looking like. Okay. So this candle here went from 1030 until 11 o'clock. So it's still here, still looking bearish. Okay. So I'm thinking about going bullish here. Could this be the bounce location? But the higher time frames are telling me not yet. Well, let's go back to the 5-minute. 5-minute chart. What happened? Well, it actually, look at this move that it made. So that was the bounce area. So were the higher time frame charts incorrect? No, they weren't incorrect, but you have to keep watching this. So if I, what I would need to see here in order to go long would have been if I still was of the idea that this was going to be a bounce area here coming off this 20 EMA on the daily, I need to see a strong close above this candle. Okay. I'm not going to take a breakout of this because, as I've talked about frequently, most breakouts, breakdowns fail. So I'm not going to take a breakout. What I'm going to look for is a strong close above this candle. And then I would look for a limit buy. Okay. So would I have gotten into this trade? In all fairness, no. And why not? Well, because here's that candle, right? This is the candle here. I needed a strong close above this level. Is this a strong close above that level? Not really, right? It's got long lower wick, right? And it's got a upper wick, and it's on almost no volume. Look at the volume down here, almost nothing. So that's not a strong close. This is the candle, right? Volume picked up. Look how strong this looks like there was selling right through the close of this candle. Let's say the high 62.58 and the close 62.58. So it's a shaved top candle. So if for any of you who don't know what a shaved top candle is, it just means that the high and the close are identical. And what does that indicate? It indicates that there was buying right through the close of this candle. So this candle opened, there's a tiny little wick at the bottom here, but for the most part, this was 5 minutes of pure buying right until the close of that candle. That's a strong candle. Okay. So if I saw that, what would I have done? Well, I would have set up a limit buy. If I were to drop a level in here, I would have been looking left here, and somewhere in this area here, maybe right through here, I would have set up a limit buy to see if this could come down and just pull back, right? And it did. You got a three bar pullback, right? And then it kind of went sideways, and then it popped again. What I would have been looking for is like a 3 bar pullback And this is exactly what I look for. Nice. See how these, after this big candle, you have these candles and they're smaller, right? It's a nice controlled pullback. What I would have looked for was a little bit more of a pullback. And then I would have liked to have gotten a long lower wick down here, right? So this was the breakout level. Well, when price breaks out, it typically will just retest that level. And which is why I'm okay waiting for this confirmation candle, then looking to get in on a limit buy. Well, it didn't retest that level. It retested about if you threw a fib on this candle, I bet that's probably around 61.8, 66 level, somewhere here. If you just threw a fib just on this candle alone, right? At probably 50% is right around here. So it's probably about 61.8, right? So it's probably a perfect fib level just on that 1 5-minute candle. But for me, I'm just looking to get, buy it as low as possible. And really what I'm looking for is getting that lower wick down here to trigger in the order. So would I've gotten into this trade? No, I would have missed it, right? But let's just go back into the 30-minute or 15-minute and just, again, here's that. Okay, this was not very convincing, right? You got the hammerish candle here was a volume spike. The 30-minute and the 15-minute were not convincing me there was time. But then you get this and I go, yeah, okay, time to bounce, right? But again, even on the 15-minute chart, my entry still would have remained the same here. I still would have tried to get triggered in here on some type of pullback and then make that move bullish. Didn't happen. So I would have missed that trade, but I'm okay with that because, there's, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of trades that occur every minute. So I'm okay missing one because another trade is going to present itself. I just have to be looking for that. Okay. So let's go back to the 5-minute chart. Okay. So I would have missed this whole move. Right. And I'm okay with that. Right. I'm not going to chase it. My buying level was down here, stop below the low of the day. That would have been a beautiful trade had I gotten triggered in. Ran without me. That's fine. I'm not going to chase it. So now what do we do? Okay. Well, now we can look for another setup. Now we could look for maybe a bearish setup. Okay. So watch this move, right? So it comes up, comes into here, right? So even if you like, you want to count like Elliott wave, right? Just look at on this 5-minute chart, right? A 1, 2, a 3, 4, 5, right? That basically, and again, Elliott wave, understand that it's not an exact science. It's somewhat subjective because people see things differently. But if I look at this on a 5-minute chart, I could easily see how this could be a 1 and then a 2. And then this move right here is the 3, a short little 4, just sideways movement, and then a 5, right? It could, but somebody else could argue and say it's not, but that's fine. But what I do see is what I'm looking for is a volume spike at the top of the move, right? Something to indicate to me that, okay, this move is over and it's ready to reverse. And if I zoom in here a little bit on the in here, right? So this is not the ideal. I mean, it's not bad, but what I really want to see here is some type of a shooting star. Okay, you get this high wave candle at the top of the move. It's an indecision candle. It's made a pretty big move here off the low of the day, and if I'm right about the wave count, then what are we looking for? Now we're looking for a retracement. So, but the interesting and the key thing here is the volume spikes, right? So as price was going up here, right? You look at the volume down here, but as this was making making a new high here, not high of the day, I don't believe. Let me just go back. No, not the high of the day, but as it's making a new high on this move, look at the volume, right? So volume definitely picked up right here. You can see down here, volume definitely picked up. And then it's followed by this indecision candle. Okay, so let's go into, again, the higher time frames. Let's take a look at the higher time frames, see what they show us. So this is at 12:35. And what do we see? Higher time frames. "30-minute chart, shooting star. 15-minute chart, shooting star." Right? That is, even though I didn't get the shooting star on the 5-minute chart, I'm seeing it on the 30-minute and the 15-minute. Right? So there's my sign to look to go short now. So the higher time frames, even though I'm not getting that shooting star here, I am getting it here and here, right? So the higher time frames are telling me, okay, this, because all that's happened here, right? So this, off of this big move here, right? The trend is bearish. This is just a retracement here, right? Now I'm looking for the bearish trend on this 15 to resume, right? Because this is just, until the high of this, till you get a close above this, you're still bearish, right? So you get this move down here, pull back. Now, so you could look at this as the larger trend here is bearish. This pullback here is the micro trend. And then you're looking to then look for the bearish trend to resume. So if I look on the 15-minute, 30-minute, I'm seeing these shooting stars. I'm like, okay, this could be the time to take it. So go back to the 5-minute chart. So again, I'm using the higher time frames to confirm to me my thesis, to confirm the direction. I'm then going to go into the lower time frame to set up my trade. Okay. And what I'm looking for is, and I'll move this over, right? Let's pretend like this hasn't happened yet. I see this happen. I go, okay, if I can get a strong close below this candle, right? Because I see this, volume picked up. Like, look at the volume on this candle right here. Okay. Look at the volume. That's not a big candle, but a lot of volume. So as it's moving higher, you're getting these volume spikes, which would tell me that maybe it's exhaustion buying, right? So before we were talking about exhaustion selling. So maybe this is exhaustion buying, and the bulls are now running out of steam. So then we get this spinning top at the top of the move, right? Look where the point of control is, right? The point of control, again, I'm assuming that, back at the time this happened, because look, there's no large volume profile nodes sticking out here. This is the farthest one right here, right? So there's really no strong volume profile up here. It's down here. So that's another thing I look for, is like, it has the point of control moved with price. And if if price is way up here and the point of control is down here, and the point of control being that level, right? This price level, right? So the volume profile is just volume at price versus volume at time. And if that's telling me that the majority of buyers and sellers agree that this level right here, the point of control, is the fair price, that means that this is all overbought, right? When we're up here, that's overbought, because if that was now the fair price up here, the point of control would move with it, right? But it's out of balance here, right? So price is way up here, point of control is down here. Again, just another box that I'm looking to check off to make me think, okay, I could go short here. Next candle comes in, right there, right? So if I saw this if I'm looking at the 15-minute and the 30-minute, and I see shooting stars, I go back to the 5-minute, I go, I want a strong close below the low of this candle. And if I get it, then I'm going to go short, right? So where do I look to put my short in? Well, I'm going to probably look to get it somewhere around, let's see, the high I'm looking left also. So if I look at this candle here, notice how the high of this candle, I don't know how well you can see it. I'm hovering right on top of it. The high of this and the low of this candle are pretty identical, right? So I'm going to look at that. I'm going to say, okay, well, my entry is going to be here and my stop is going to be up here, right? All I'm looking for at this point is just, and I could even, cheat it up a little bit more, but I'm basically looking again at the high of this candle here. So you'll often hear me say, always look left, right? So if I'm looking left, I mean, certainly the low of this candle is a level, but I'm looking for something to the left also that helps me confirm that that would be a good entry, right? So this candle comes in. Now, again, I'm not taking the breakdown of this candle. I'm letting this candle close strongly below this level. Then I'm throwing in a limit sell, stop up here. And then what happens? Would I've gotten triggered in here? It would have been close. Again, I'm just dropping in these lines. I'm not sure exactly where, I'm not doing this as an exact science in terms of what my entry would have been, but it's pretty close. So would I get triggered in? I don't know, right? I can't say. Because again, in full transparency, this is not a trade I took today. I'm just giving you an example that I found that was a really good example of both looking to go bullish, looking to go bearish. But let's say, you did get triggered on it. This would have been a phenomenal short, right? And so again, this is why I don't take breakdowns or breakouts, but this is a breakdown in this case, because I want to see a strong close below this level before I'm willing then to go short. Throw in the limit sell, stop up here, and then that would have been just a phenomenal trade, right? Would have just kept going. Real quick, I will just use this as an example to show you that about the the 5-minute, the 5-minute 2-bar trailing stop the strategy, that trailing stop strategy that I love and I use all the time. And just to show you how this would have kept you in this trade pretty much all the way down into here, right? So if you got it, let's say you got into this trade and then you're in the trade at this point now, what I'm going to look for is, you can look right here. You can see how strong this level was, right? This level right here was very strong. So if I get a close below that level, and that would have happened on this candle, if I get a close below that, I'm now thinking, okay, this is definitely going to work. I'm going to start using this 5-minute trailing 5-minute 2-bar trailing stop. So as soon as this candle closed below this level right here, right? So key level to break right here. Because at this point, it just boom. This is pretty much like kind of the neckline of this, right? Just if this can break. So you get this candle, as soon as this candle comes in, I count back 2 bars. 1, 2, right? And I can move my stop above here. So if I move my stop right here, let's say above this candle, what have I done? Well, I'm already locking in a profit. Like even if price, comes up and it double tops here, well, my stop is now here, right? And if let's say I got triggered in on this candle, well, that's only 15 minutes from the time I got triggered in, 5, 10, 15. As soon as I get that close, stop here, I can't lose now, right? The pressure's off. No matter what, I'm going to lock in some type of a profit. And if it does reverse and it trails me out, and again, difference between getting trailed out and getting stopped out, this would have been a trail out, right? Because I'm still profitable. Stopped out is when you lose money. But even if it reversed and came up here and hit that and double topped, well, I can always get back in, right? But this 2-bar trailing stop on the 5-minute chart works wonderfully, because on this candle, count back 2, right? Next candle, it made a lower high and a lower low. So it counts, count back 2, 1, 2. Well, this candle and this candle pretty much had similar highs. So I'm not going to do anything with my stop. I'm going to leave it there. Next candle makes a lower low, lower high. Now I'm going to go back 2, 1, 2. And now I'm going to move my stop above that candle, right? Above this one. Next candle comes in. It does looks like it did make I guess it did make a lower low and a lower high, right? It's close. It did. Okay. So count back 2. 1, 2. Now my stop is here. Again, I'm not doing this exactly where I would be putting it. I don't like tight stops. I'm just walking through the example. This next candle, big bearish candle, right? Makes a lower high and a lower low. Count back 2. 2 candle, 1, 2. My stop is not. So look what I've done now. Okay. In a very short amount of time, I've locked in. If you look at this, this is probably 1.5 hours that I'm locking in. I cannot lose, right? No matter what. If the next candle just rips bullish and takes me out, I'm locking in 1.5 immediately, right? Again, I can always get back in. But this is the way that you can protect your profits. That the worst thing is ever in trading is having a profitable trade turn into a losing trade, right? And we've all been there. It happens. And there's nothing worse, right? Just be in this kind of trade and be up 1.5R and then have it just turn around and rip against you and take you out and have that turn into a loss. Hopefully a small loss, but still a loss, right? After you were up 1.5R. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to get a sip of water. Okay. Next candle. Did that make I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. That looks like it did make a lower low. It did, and a lower high, right? Count back 2. 1, 2. Now my stop can be above here. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to just kind of nudge this down, right? Just a little bit. Again, even if it's a few pennies, it's okay. Next candle. Did it make a lower low? Yep. But it made a higher high. So this candle does not count. So what I have to do is I have to wait until I get a lower low and a lower high compared to this candle, right? It does not happen here. It doesn't happen here. But look, it's pulling back. But look where my stop is. It's up here, right? Starts rolling over, right? I still need a lower low and a lower high compared to this one candle right here, right? And when did we finally get it? Low of this candle, 62.42. The low of this candle, 62.42. So doesn't happen there. Low of this candle, right? Doesn't matter because I can see that the high is above it. Then this candle comes in. Well, that clearly is a lower low compared to this. The high, pretty close. The high of this candle, 62.51. The high of this candle, 62.52. Okay, great. We finally have a candle that gives us a lower low and a lower high, right? If I count back 2 candles from now, I can count back 2 from here, right? So all of these candles didn't count in this equation. I had to get a lower low and a lower high compared to this one. And that finally happened here. Count back 2 candles, 1, 2. Well, I'm not going to put my stop here, right? Because this was higher, right? And this, if you look at the high of this, the high of these candles, they're all very similar, right? So I'm going to play it smart. I'm not going to follow the rule to a T here, but I am going to move my stop down. I'm going to look. So I'm not moving it above this candle again. It's going to be above this level, above these levels right here. So I'm going to grab my stop. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to put it right here. Right. Next candle. Another low, lower low, lower high. Right. Count back to 1, 2. Well, now I was using these candles here for my last stop. Now I can go here. So again, I'm not going to move it a lot, but I am going to just kind of inch it down a little bit, right? Maybe right there. Okay. Next candle. Nope, does not make a lower low. It makes a lower high, but not a lower low. Next candle. And again, we have to, now we're comparing it to this candle. And it does. So I can count back 2 candles. 1, 2. Now I can put my stop above this candle, right? And again, I never go right above it. I usually like a lot of times I'm trading the funded account. So I give it at least like 10 cents, right? So I'm never a penny or two over. Even with my interactive brokers account, I'm never going to just be like a penny over. I'm going to give it a little bit of room, right? Because it's too obvious. You don't want to be obvious with your stops because everyone sees it. So if my stop were here, right, above, let's say with the high of this 62.44 and my stop is 62.47. So I wouldn't even be that tight. I would be, I would still be up in here, somewhere in that area. Okay. So now I need a lower low and a lower high compared to this one, right? So sit through this little pullback and it comes down. And then finally here, lower low, lower high. Yep. Count back 2, 1, 2. Now I have a decision to make. I either, want to be conservative and leave it up here, or I can be down here. Well, at this point, right, I'm probably, a couple hours in, right? So I don't want to give back anything at this point. So I'm going to go above that little tiny candle right here, right? Because I go back 2, 1, 2. Next candle. Yep. Lower low, lower high, right? I would move my stop. Maybe, yeah, probably would leave it where it is because the high of this and the high of this just probably about the same, right? Next candle, lower low, lower high here compared to here. Yep. And at this point, again, think about how many R's I'm up. Okay. So I am going to be tight with my stop at this point, right? Next candle here does not count because it made a higher high. Next one, I need the high of this candle, 62.15, the high of this, 62.15. So they're identical, right? Again, at this point of the move, I'm probably going to go, okay, they're same highs. I'm going to count that candle. And then go back 2 candles from here, right? 1, 2. Well, I'm probably then going to move my stop just something like this. I'm not going to get crazy with moving it, right? I just want to tighten it up just enough to still give it room, but look at all this profit here that I'm protecting, right? All that profit. I mean, that's 1 R. That's probably 2, 3. I'm probably 4 R's in right now, right? If again, assuming I haven't taken anything off, which of course I would have by now, would have taken something off, right? But I would still be holding onto a portion of my original, right? I never like to exit a trade 100% if I can avoid it. I want to just take off. I might be 90% out at this point, just holding on to 10%. Lower low, lower high. Yep. And then this. So count back 2, 1, 2. So my stop is right where it needs to be. The next candle does not make a lower low, I don't think. 61.92. 61.92. So it's about the same, right? Again, I could say, well, I'm going to count it because at this point, I'm thinking after this move, it's going to bounce at some point. So my stop is here. I can count back 2, 1, 2. It's pretty much where my stop should be anyway. Do I inch it down a little bit? Maybe, right? Maybe I brought it down a little bit more. And then what happened next to him? Boom. Okay. Now, this candle takes me out. I'm trailed out, right? I'm trailed out, but if I look at this, let's get an idea of how many R's that would have been. So that's 1 R. Right? That's 2, 3, 4. That's like 5 R's, right? 5 R on a trade. And without, sorry, let me remove that. 5 R on a trade. And all I did was just actively move my stop using a 5-minute 2-bar trailing stop method to protect profit, to let me continue to stay in that trade, right? And it's, it's so simple, right? It's such a simple thing. And sometimes in trading, that's the best thing to do, is just keep it simple, right? The rules can't be any more clear with this trailing stop method. They can't be any simpler. And if you just follow it, right? There's locking in a 5-hour trade just by using that trailing stop. Any questions on that? The chat has been very quiet. Normally it's a little more active. And I realize it is a Friday afternoon and it's almost 5 o'clock. Any questions? Matthew Mitchell, you're welcome. Was that helpful, Matthew? Is that something that you could implement, something that you could use in your own trading? For sure. Cool. Good. That's why I do this, to help out traders. All right. So I've got like 7 minutes. Oh, Pete says, just learning this was awesome. Oh, good, Pete. So Pete, are you so you're a new trader then? Just starting out? Matthew says struggling with trailing stops and taking profits early. Good. So Matthew, my space bar is broken. That's funny. I was wondering why all the words were all the words were it was like one long string of words, because this won't be that's so funny. So Matthew wrote to me, and it's all one word: struggle with trailing stops and taking profits early. That's one gigantic word, which I was obviously able to read, but then he added below that, my space bar broken, LOL. That's funny. Yeah, so Pete, okay, so it's been a little while. That's fine. And look, Pete, look, that's why we're here, right? To help the new, look, my focus, my specialty is working with and helping new and developing traders, right? And trying to give them the tools that just make things simple, right? Because the simpler that you can keep things, the easier that trading is going to be. Matthew says my average loss 0.65, my average win 0.58. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you gotta get the inverse of that, right? I think that's what you're saying. So anyway, Pete, try using and Matthew, try using this this method. Like if you get into the trade, okay, 5 minutes. I'm gonna show you. Let's see, Roku. Let me just see what Roku. I had a note here for Roku. Maybe I can show you another couple quick. Let's see, 1330. Okay, look, here's another. Okay, right? So here we go. Look at Roku, right? Sells off, bounces, sells off. Look, hammer, everyone can see. Hammer candle here. Look at that volume spike, right? That is exactly what I am looking for in the 5-minute chart, right? Key thing there is the 5-minute chart. Now what I have to do, and so this is going to be, I'm going to be showing you an example of how I use the higher time frames to keep me out of a trade, right? Because I think you can all agree that this is exactly what I said I'm looking for. Well, it's kind of double bottomish, right? Here's a low, here's a low, right? Kind of double bottomish. It certainly is a new low of the day with a beautiful looking hammer with volume. Look at look at the size of that volume on this candle compared to looking left, right? That candle and this candle here have the greatest volume going all the way back to 9:55 in the morning, right? So beautiful hammer, beautiful volume, exactly what I'm looking for, right, at 13:30, right, which is what, 1:30 in the afternoon. Get that right? Yeah. Johnny's obviously, because he's military, is a whiz with military time. So I look at this, I go 13:30, great. Let me go into the higher time frames. What is that setting up? Am I going to see the setup that I need? Right. So here it is, 5-minute chart. There it is, 13:30. At 13:30, what do I see? Well, 13:30, at one point, as I'm looking, this would have been a big bearish candle, right? I look at this, I go, that's not exactly, I mean, it's not really the hammer candle, right, that I'm looking for. It's more doji-ish. The hammer candle should have some type of a nice body to it, right? Right. And there's really no body. It's just, and at one point, again, also at this candle started at 13:30. So as I was, at 13:30, if I was watching this as this candle was developing, it would have been selling off, right? So that would have been selling off. So that sell off right here was this move here, right? So if I look at this, I go, yeah, I'm not really seeing that, even though here's what I'm looking for on the 5-minute chart. I'm not seeing it here on the 15-minute chart. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart, right? 13:30, again, it would have opened here and it would have come all the way down here, right? So this would have been at one point a big bearish candle. So if I'm watching this, if I'm looking at this, right, this, the 15-minute and the 30-minute, at that moment that this candle was coming in, would have still been looking too bearish for me. So that would have kept me out of that trade, right? And again, the beauty of the higher time frames, the multi-time frame analysis, is to confirm that the setup that you're looking for is good to go, or that, nope, not ready. So just because I'm seeing on the 5-minute doesn't mean that it is good to go, right? So I'm looking for confirmation on the 15-minute and 30-minute, or I'm looking for it to tell me, yeah, this isn't ready to go yet, right? And clearly it wasn't ready to go. Pete says, yeah, the multi-charts are great. Yeah. And this is what we're looking at here is actually my laptop setup. I'm doing this off my laptop. At home, I have, what do I have? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 monitors that I, at my desk, right? So my desktop monitor. So I have 6. And so using those is just like, it's incredible, because here I'm looking at this on a smaller format because I've got my laptop, but then I've got 2 little portable monitors left and right here. So I do have 3 monitors going here, but at home with like 6, I got charts that it's at home I immediately see the higher time frame charts because they're right there, in front of me, along with the 5-minute. So here, what I do on the, if this helps for a little timing wise, is if I see, if I'm on a laptop, see, I just have all the charts right here, right? Laptop, if I see it setting up here on the 15 or the 5-minute, right? All I'm going to do is just go down here and then pull up this one, which is 5:15:30. All right, looks like I'm going to stop the recording here. I want to thank everybody because I think Robert Thompson's coming on. I don't want to take up his time, but I want to thank everyone for being with me this Friday for the last hour. Hopefully this was helpful, especially Pete Matthew, because you were saying how this could definitely be helpful for you. So I, back traded over the weekend. Make sure that this is something that you understand. If you have any questions, you can always hit me up. When you are here, when I saw that you were logged in, but you weren't commenting, so I thought maybe you were just logged in and not actually listening in. So good to see you. But anyway, I will be posting this. I'll post it in Slack. But I just want to also mention, I am going to throw this in here. So on YouTube, I just started posting all of my content. I put it up in Slack, but that's my YouTube. You'll click on it, but it will be at Stock Traders Journey. That's my YouTube channel. Okay, Wynn's been watching it. Cool. Yeah. So Wynn, it's one of these things. I just gotta start. I have so much content that I haven't loaded. I just got to start loading it all up. So I will be adding this to the YouTube channel, but also I'll be posting in Slack. But if anyone wants to go over to my YouTube channel, would love to have you come over. And of course, if you want to subscribe, that would be great too. All right, let me see if Robert is here real quick. Let me. He is here. All right, Robert's here. I'm going to make Robert. Let me stop my share. Wynn says, if you're ever willing to give it away, it definitely would be take it. Yeah, cool. All right, let me stop the share. Robert, let me promote you to host. Okay, there you go.
There we go.
Sorry, I ate into your time by a couple minutes. My apologies.
No, it's fine. I was actually just barely getting on myself, so we're good.
Oh, cool. Good. Awesome. All right. Well, you ready to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Everybody can.
There, look at you. Always decked out in the RL stuff.
Yes. It would be so. I have this ready to go, kind of in the Steve Jobsian method
Yep.
of keep it simple, because otherwise I would just be sitting here in my pajamas.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn it all over to you. Again, thank you everyone for being with me today. Robert, all yours. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too, man.
See y'all
Thanks.
next week.
Deuces. All right. Let me share my screen. Get rid of that. All right. Can everybody see